Thanks for tuning into our podcast. We love having you here, and it's our mission to bring you all the latest and greatest tips, skills, and know-how to make you the best that you can be. We know that you have it in you, and we're going to show you how. Now, let's get started.
Welcome to A Pair Affair today. And today's topic is, are you waiting or doing? As we get into our story, as we wait around, and we're all guilty of this at one time or another, but some of us are less guilty than others. So let's listen to our story, get back in a few minutes, ask a few questions: what, where, why, when, why, how, whatever. But in the meanwhile, not just be funny about that, but just trying to understand why we act that way during certain periods of our life. So let's listen to our story, and we will be right back in a few minutes.
The rain gods had been smiling the whole night. The roads were muddy and the potholes were filled to the brim. It was the day for the market, and Raju the farmer was riding his cart along the country road. He had to reach the market early so that he can sell his hay. It was very difficult for the horses to drag the load through the deep mud. On his journey, suddenly the wheels of the horse cart sank into the mire. The more the horses pulled, the deeper the wheels sank. Raju climbed down from his seat and stood beside his cart. He searched all around but could not find anyone around to help him. Cursing his bad luck, he looked dejected and defeated. He didn't make the slightest effort to get down on the wheel and lift it up by himself. Instead, he started cursing his luck for what happened. Looking up at the sky, he started shouting at God, "I am so unlucky. Why has this happened to me? Oh God, come down to help me." After a long wait, God finally appeared before Raju. He asked Raju, "Do you think you can move the chariot by simply looking at it and whining about it? Nobody will help you unless you make some effort to help yourself. Did you try to get the wheel out of the pothole by yourself? Get up and put your shoulder to the wheel and you will soon find the way out." Raju was ashamed of himself. He bent down and put his shoulder to the wheel and urged on the horses. In no time the wheel was out of the mire. Raju learned his lesson. He thanked God and carried on his journey happily. Moral: God helps those who help themselves.
Welcome back from our story. Hopefully you enjoyed our story, and hopefully you get an idea of what we're going to talk about today. And as I listen to that story and I think about that story, how we are waiting for someone to come rescue us. Some of us do a better job of rescuing ourselves, but other people, for the majority of the people out there, they're like thinking, like the guy said, why? I didn't deserve this. Why did this happen to me? What's going on? Why me? Why not you? Like they always tell me. I know just recently I had this huge plumbing problem. And I'm a novice beginner, getting better at plumbing, but I know a little bit about plumbing, but I don't know. I'm not a, full-fledged plumber. I wouldn't say I was a plumber, but I do know how to problem solve. I have something where I know how to stick with things. I know how to figure out things really quickly if given, good instructions. I'm the type of person that I like doing a lot of different things. I like doing things on my own, but there's some things I'm like, wow. So as I looked at this plumbing problem, and I looked over it and over, and I said, there's no way I can get it done. And then I told myself, that's the first thing, you probably won't get it done because, number one, you've already defeated yourself. You've already talked yourself out of it. And I said, okay, let's get a better mindset. So what I did was I drew up some schematics of the plumbing problem. What kind of tools I need, what kind of solutions were out there, what's the best solution for me, what's the best way, because to be honest with you, once I took care of the plumbing problem, it had to be done. The problem had to be done in like 6 hours. I really didn't have the liberty of 2 or 3 days to play with this because I had to, the business has to keep running. So as I got the plumbing problem under control, and as I got my materials and I started planning it out, I started writing it down. And I told myself, okay, I see the first step is you got to plan it out. You just can't just be grabbing tools and whatnot. Plan it out. It'll turn out a lot better. So then I discovered this little tool that I could use to make my plumbing and the seals on the plumbing a lot tighter than another method. And there was pros and cons about both ways. And the one way I was doing it, I wasn't really happy with it. I didn't trust it. The other way, I trusted it, but the tool was so expensive. And I said, I just know where I can afford this tool. So I started looking around and I realized, oh, people will rent these tools out to you for a day. They'll rent them out to you for a day. And so I said, okay, so all I need is for a day. And if I get another plumbing problem, I'll rent it out again. So looked at how much it cost, look how much it cost to buy the tool. I said, I don't know. But eventually I just rented the tool and then, set everything up, broke everything down. And I realized, I was like, wow, this is not that bad. This is pretty easy work. And it didn't take that long, but I finished it and accomplished it. But I asked myself, you didn't wait around for someone to do everything for you. You took care of it yourself. And you should be proud of yourself. A lot of people, that would have crumbled them. So as I continue to get better and better with my plumbing, I had to realize that I have a lot of help. There's a lot of resources out there so that you can get out of certain situations. As the person was stuck on the side of the road in the story, they didn't look at everything that's around them. And one of the podcasts I have out there is about people who are wise and people who have numerous solutions. And like I said, there's a program that I watch every Friday that just marvels to me. Last night I was watching it, and it's about these guys who are digging for gold in Alaska. And one of the things that they do is they're out in the middle of nowhere, so they have to be really resourceful of how they solve certain problems. And so one time, I guess, last night, the tire came off the truck or something. And there's no way to, these are big tires, And so there's no way to, mount it back on there. They don't have the machine out there. So the guy showed a really cool way of how to, to ignite it, to make it pop, and to put it right back in its place. But the thing is, he wasn't waiting around 5-6 days and waiting for somebody to come rescue him. He had that knowledge in his hands. And I realized every day that we walk out there and every day that we go, we're going to be given certain knowledge to handle certain problems that we have. I noticed today there was a certain problem that I have, and as I look around, and I just told myself, get under there and get after it. On my car, I have an oxygen sensor has went out, and I've been looking at the problem and check engine light's been on, and I've just been looking at it and trying to get around it and say, try to ignore that light. But eventually I had to deal with that light. I want to get the light off and see what I can do. So I've been on, YouTube, Google, trying to figure it out. And so what I did was I tried to go around it. And one of the videos I was watching on YouTube, they said, do not use certain parts on this because they don't work. Did I listen to that advice? No, I didn't. So I took the advice and I ordered the lesser part, and I thought the lesser part would be better. It didn't work. And I said the same thing. Why me? Why didn't it work? I said, because you didn't listen. We gave you a tip. Get the best part. It's going to cost you a couple $100. Get the part, stick it in there, then it's going to work. But if you're trying to do it your way and try to do it all these different ways, just listen to what the advice people are going to give you, different advice they're going to give you every day. I know some of the advice I get, I think that why do I need to know that? Why do I need to know certain things? Because it's not going to affect me. I can figure this out on my own. But that's the thing. You can't get to the point where you think you have everything figured out. You really have to think about what's best for you, what's best for the people around you, and the best way to solve problems. And I realize as we go and we get bigger and better, we're going to have some problems down the road. But we're all been equipped to deal with these problems. We're all been equipped to do better with our problem-solving strategies. As I watch myself, and I'm watching this channel, and I'm watching not this channel, but I'm watching the people who are listening to this program on a daily basis, because, now we're up 24 hours, 7 days a week, and it just loops, and it just tells me just tells you all the different podcasts we have out there, and just loops. And it's kind of cool as I realized, and I didn't know how to set it up. It took me a long time to figure out how to set it up. And I've started making excuses how to set it up. It's like, don't worry about it. No one's going to listen to it anyway. I got an email the other day and someone emailed me, said that's the best thing that ever happened, is that when I'm feeling low or whatever, I need some little motivation, I can just jump on your channel and listen to you and just, 15, 20 minutes, get me back going. And he says, it's kind of cool that I don't really have to pull up the certain podcasts. They just keep going. So there's one times like when I'm going home, I'll listen to one. They'll take me to my drive home. I'll listen to another. It takes me to a drive home. And I was out last week. I was out last week, and I was standing in line. And right now as we're taping, the lines were long. During the holiday season, they're long. And I was just looking around, and my son was with me, and we were just looking around. And he was asking me about this and that, and I was paying attention to him for the most part. But I saw this person beside me. He had his phone up to his ear, and I was like, "Why has he got his phone up to his ear?" And I was like, "That's interesting." So I looked kind of close. I peeked over. I was close enough to look. He had it on the YouTube channel. And I said, "What's the odds of him listening to my podcast, standing in this line with millions of people around me, millions of people on this?" I looked closer. Sure enough, it was there. The podcast was going, my voice was going, and I said, oh, okay, all right, that's a sign. That's a sign to keep going. Because like sometimes I feel like, like, why me? Why did I need to put up with all this? Why do I need to deal with the negativity and the good thoughts that do come my way? And I said that one person who I said, okay, that made a difference in his day. And that's what we're all about, is making differences in people's life. And I don't want you to think that, I'm over here telling you to do this and then I give up. And then I quit. And I say, you know what? Wasn't worth it. I'm just going to sit around. I'll let somebody else do it. I don't like doing it. You can't have that mentality. And as we're going to have bad breaks, we're going to have things that happen to us. And I realized the people who usually overcome these things are the people with positive attitudes. I was talking to someone the other day about having a positive attitude, a brighter outcome, and how things are going to work out for you no matter what. I don't think they really believe me, because their mindset has been so just crushed. And the thing about it, they're young, and everything that comes out of their mouth is just negative and doom and gloom, and the world's going to come to an end, and I don't know what's going on, and I can't do anything about it. You can. You can. You can control a lot of things out there. And I know as we go around this world with the podcast, there's some things that in some countries you really can't control. In the country I'm in, there's a lot of things that I can control to make better. And that's what's great about this country. But there's some people in this country who don't understand that. They just want to sit around and talk about this person did that, that person did that. And they really don't want to pull themselves up by the bootstraps and get to work and get it done. And it's okay. It is okay to work a little harder. And as I was listening to someone this week, they were saying how at your job, they give 100%. And I said, that's fine. But when I'm at home and I have to get up at 4:00 in the morning to get ready, not just for that day, but for days down the road, and every day get up and keep pushing yourself and grinding and trying to figure out another way. Instead of waiting around, waiting for things just to drop out of the sky and everything to go your way, sometimes you got to make your own breaks. I know as I'm watching certain sporting events that are coming down to the end, it's looking like the ones who put in all the work is paying off. The ones who are sitting around complaining about it's the coach's fault, it's that's fault, it's this person's fault. Sometimes you got to look in the mirror and say, okay, it is my fault. I need to fix it. And as I think about the things that I accomplished this week, I just had a list of like 8 or 9 things that I wanted to accomplish this week. And I worked very hard in accomplishing all these things this week. They're not easy, but there's some projects I could get done really quickly. And there's other ones I had to be really patient with today. And the last week, you just be patient. It wasn't hard, but just being patient in what we're doing and being smart about it, because you're going to have problems. That's just how it goes. But you got to just be smart about it and say, okay, this is a 5-minute problem. This is a 5-hour problem or a 5-day problem. Just break it down. And a lot of times we think the 5-second problem is the most important problem. It could be at that time. but it's going to take you 5 seconds to fix it. But we want to sit there and talk about it for 5 months, that 5-second problem. Instead of just, okay, yeah, we had problems for 5 seconds, but it's done now. I know just recently I had this problem, and this last thing before we wrap up, I had this problem today. And I said, well, how long is it going to take you to fix it? I said, what, 5 minutes? Get on it. Fix it. Let's move on. Let's not wait until tomorrow to fix it. Let's not wait for the magic fairy dust to come in and fix the problem for you. I said, you can do it. It's not that difficult. Get yourself up, get your butt out of the chair, and keep moving. And that's what happens a lot in life. We don't want to get out of that chair. We want to sit in a chair and where we are, we have these things called lazy boys. We like to sit in a lazy boy and just lounge out and just chill and just everything's great. Get nice and comfortable. I said, that's great. I don't own a lazy boy in my house because I don't want to be called a lazy person. Give me a hard back chair that's going to get my butt up and keep moving. And that's what I want to do. I want to continue getting better. And I get tired like the next person, but I realize there's opportunities out there. I don't want to look back and say, wow, did you try that? I go, wow, that was so easy, but I never tried that. So as you go, look for new avenues. Don't always go to the panic button and start crying about things aren't great for you. Look at the different ways to get better and utilize it. Okay? Well, I want to thank you again for dropping by the Pear Fair. And if you haven't heard the YouTube channel that goes 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, drop by, give it a listen. It's a hoot. It's all the podcasts thrown in there for 24 hours. Just listen, enjoy it, keep inspiring me. I'll keep inspiring you, and we will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
This week's episode has come to an end, but the fun doesn't have to stop here. If you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback, head over right now to Twitter and Facebook and like, share, and get involved. Join us next time.